This is the iPhone 14 Pro, but this right over here is the newest iPhone 16e, and it's also my new daily driver. Let me explain why. Now, the iPhone 16e is not a bad device on paper, apart from its price. We'll get into that in just a moment. Now, I'll spare you guys most of the details from all the reviews that have already been made by a lot of different YouTubers, but I'll cover some of my favorite features of this device and actually tell you guys why I ended up upgrading to the iPhone 16e. And keep in mind, this is coming from someone who had an iPhone 14 Pro. So a lot of the hardware and software features of this device are actually entirely new to me. Right out of the box, Type-C is game-changing for me. To think that I can now charge my iPhone, my iPad, and my MacBook all with a single cable is kind of cool. Now, obviously, this isn't specific to the iPhone 16e, but it's a feature that I value, especially for the $599 price tag that you end up paying. Now, I also love that Apple managed to get Apple Intelligence on here. There's no skimping here or making excuses like the fact that this phone has one less GPU core than the iPhone 16. Yes, Apple Intelligence isn't really what we quite expected it to be, but I'm confident that with time, Apple Intelligence will get better. Now, we're also missing MagSafe, of course, and I don't really like that, to be honest. I exclusively MagSafe my iPhone 14 Pro overnight, but the trade-off here is I don't actually have to charge my iPhone 16e overnight because I'm actually literally getting like an entire day's worth of battery just on a single charge. So I usually just end up charging it during the daytime. So now that we know that it's an iPhone with some new hardware and software features, it costs $100 more than last year's budget iPhone SE, why did I end up buying it all of a sudden? Now, I love my iPhone 14 Pro, but the battery is terrible. I'm at 77% battery health, and I simply could not wait until September to get the new iPhone 17. So I ended up getting the 16e as a temporary replacement. I'm going to use this phone as my daily driver going forward until the new 17 comes out, and I'll probably end up selling it around that time as well. Now, there is a risk here. I'm mostly banking on the idea that this phone isn't going to lose too much of its resale value. Hopefully it'll retain at least $100 by the time I do end up selling it, and this is kind of the main risk that I'm taking. The other option was to, of course, get a replacement for my iPhone 14 Pro at an Apple store. It usually costs around $100, but at the same time, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of want to test out the newest features from one of Apple's newest iPhones, and I kind of had a bit of FOMO because I've had a 14 Pro. It's like a 2-year-old iPhone, almost 3 years, and I just really want to be able to experience those new features. Now, I'm going to be honest with you guys about something. My reasons for upgrading to the 16e are very unusual, and I would even argue that most people watching this video should not take that risk. Now, if you have an iPhone 14, 13, or 12 Pro, and you're thinking about upgrading, remember that you do have other options. Now, Amazon sells a refurbished version of the iPhone 15 Pro, base model, 128GB, for around $690. I'll have a link down below as well if you guys are interested. Now, remember, with the 15 Pro, you get MagSafe, 120Hz display, action button, Apple Intelligence, all the newest features for a pretty decent price. And also keep in mind, these devices will have at least 90% battery health, so it won't actually be an entirely new battery, and also no option to purchase extended Apple Care warranty, as this device is being sold by Amazon and not Apple. Now, the other option is to, of course, wait until the next iPhone comes out. Apple usually ends up stocking their Refurbished website with the iPhone that came out like 2 years ago. So in this case, it should be the iPhone 15 Pro. And these phones, keep in mind, will have an entirely new housing, a new battery, and also come with a 1-year Apple warranty. You can also purchase Apple Care Plus as well. And it'll probably cost around $679. I mean, this is how much the 14 Pro costs right now, base model. But the only catch here is you'll need to wait until a few more months before it goes up on their website, because right now it is not in stock. And I have a feeling that this phone is going to sell very well, and it's pretty good value for what you end up paying. Now, in the rare case that, of course, you do decide that you want to upgrade to the iPhone 16e for any reason, let's say maybe you need a temporary device that's on a budget, or you simply don't really like the Pro Series iPhones anymore, you want to try something else out, I'll be doing a quick little comparison between both of these devices real quick. So yeah, firstly, both of these devices share the same 6.1-inch OLED display. And when it comes to the actual weight of this device, the 16e is much lighter. It's just under 6 ounces. And it's also noticeably thinner as well when you put it next to the 14 Pro. One thing I really appreciate, because the 14 Pro is a little hard to hold with its stainless steel housing. And of course, you'll also end up losing the ultra wide and the telephoto lenses, but the main camera, 48 megapixels on the back, does shoot 4K 60 FPS as well. It's a huge plus for me, especially because I like to film a lot of content with it for Instagram, TikTok, and even shooting B-roll for some of my YouTube videos. So yeah, definitely really happy with that. But other than that, guys, like this phone is pretty basic. It really doesn't get any more simpler than that. I would even argue that this phone kind of looks like the iPhone 4 from the back. Classic Apple reusing 15-year-old hardware designs. But no, honestly, guys, like I'm honestly here for it. It's a classic design that worked for years for Apple, and I honestly don't mind that this phone kind of looks like a 15-year-old iPhone 4. But yeah, essentially at the end of the day, it really doesn't make that big of a difference for me. Yes, I'm losing out on some key features like the 120 hertz display. You know, scrolling feels a little different on this device, but I will say the battery on this thing is amazing. It's 4,005 milliamp hours. 14 Pro was 3,200, and yeah, definitely noticed a huge improvement. And yeah, actually the battery on the 16E is also better than the 15 Pro as well. So things to keep in mind. But at the end of the day, guys, like I mentioned, I'm happy with this device. I really do like it. I think I really just wanted to switch over to the newest like iPhone Apple ecosystem, get Apple Intelligence. So it's nice to have all these features. If you guys want me to compare this phone up against the iPhone SE 3rd generation, let me know in the comment section below. I can definitely make that video happen sometime soon. But yeah, like this phone is probably like one of the most confusing iPhones Apple has ever made. I mean, $599 is really hard to justify, but that's the price that they set, and that's the price that I'm willing to pay for the next little bit until the iPhone 17 comes out. Now, I'll probably hold on to the 14 Pro as well until September time. I want to see how low the iPhone battery health can actually go. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I will catch you guys on the next one next week. Peace.